As we're gonna rappin', a pea pod with a porpoise. I'm King Cooper here with Alex and Flizzo. Alex is visiting Cooper's Castle IRL, so he's in the studio with me. Today we'll be talking about words and the wizardry they work. But first, let's play Wrecking or Rapping. Big bro about to hoe down, shut the hole.
Showdown.
I'm the king.
I'm the clown.
With rhymes so real you can't help but
Bow down.
sit back, let me show you how one man could just bust when he plays with himself. As I lay in my cell, as the judge, what do you say to some bail? Spend the rest of my days rotting in hell. Oh well. All right, Flizzo. How would you rate our performance?
It's
Wrecking
a
or
10 out of
rapping?
10.
Oh, well, it's wrecking or rapping. You must choose one.
I choose both.
Oh, that's an interesting. Alex, do you have a choice this week?
I don't think so. I think it was weird. I'm not the one who's coordinated enough to be rapping. That's for sure.
So, that's a beginning I've always wanted to do. He's wrecking, I'm rapping.
There you
Did
go.
POV become popular slang due to its use in adult films? It's mentioned in the Wikipedia for POV.
Yo, dude, that was the first thought I had was adult film. So yeah, I think so.
POV?
Yeah, I see it now all the time on like TikToks and Reels and such. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know none of us have ever seen such things, but that's just where I've heard they've been used in.
I've also heard that. But I think I remember it before it started to become popular on other websites.
Back in your AIM days where you were like, oh, AFK, POV, LOL.
POV of me AFKing. But apparently the term does go back to like the 1700s, I think. But like I said, Wikipedia mentions the adult film industry under the POV article.
I mean,
So-
that's probably where it like burst in the mainstream. No pun
Well,
intended.
yeah. And that's
And,
why. And so we're talking about words, and so I see this as like a POV of a mom feeding her kid, and I'm like, I think POV.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair. That could be in the same title for an adult film.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I've noticed that the use of POV has just gotten just widely misused. Where it's
like
just
all acronyms, though.
yeah, it's not. It's like literally now, where people say literally and they mean figuratively. So it's POV. It's not their point of view. It's somebody else's point of view of you. Your point of view.
That's like when people are like, "Can we take a selfie?" That's called a picture. Like we're taking a picture. We're not taking a selfie.
Or if you say, "Hey, can you take a selfie of us?"
Yeah, if you said that, that'd be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, the POV has just been misused.
So talking about words, I want to bring up this RX bar, and these are health bars, and they were a lifesaver when I had my alpha-gal meat allergy, which is a topic we can get into on another day. But on the front, it lists the ingredients. There's eggs, almonds, cashews, dates, and at the bottom, there's a line that says no BS. And BS is a curse word. And this is part of the degeneration of society, that my food is cursing. And it connects to the 3-second attention span, that everything has to scream for attention. What does it do to the human brain to be screamed at everywhere? Louis C.K. had a bit that saying these words leads to the audience saying the words in their head. And I said on the July 4th cookout that I don't curse in my head, so I don't like it when others make me curse.
Dude, why does it call it Alpha Gal? That sounds like such a weird feminist, like, against name.
I don't know. Well,
I think it's named from the protein that it affects. Is that what it's?
I don't know. Yeah, I even had it, so I did a bunch of research on it. I mean, I guess we're talking about it in this episode. Okay, I was bit by a Lone Star tick, and I got alpha gal, and so that's why I ate these things. You would not believe how meat is put into everything. Pressed pills. I even had an allergic reaction to my toothpaste.
Glue.
Well, I don't eat glue.
Not anymore, at least.
Yeah, not since the allergy. Those darn ticks got it out of my diet. But eat pasta. They put vitamin D maybe in it, and a form of vitamin D comes from a meat byproduct. So you would have a meat allergy or reaction to pasta, or I did.
Now, do you still have this issue, or has it like cleared itself?
No, and it was cleared up by acupuncture. I had 3 micro needles in my ear for 3 weeks. They left them in there, and then they took them out, and that cleared it up.
That sounds horrible.
They put
Well,
micro needle.
better
So
than
you just
like
I-
left pieces of
dying
metal
every
in your
See,
in your skull.
here's the reason I can't complain about that, because I say hypnosis cured my not sleep apnea. What's the sleep paralysis?
Oh,
Which make like both things. If you talk about, people would be like, those are weird hokey pokey things as well.
well, I think we've all said we've had sleep paralysis, right?
Yeah, that
But
happens.
hypnosis stopped me from having
Mm.
it. It's so weird. Like,
Well, the alpha gal treatment was invented, I think, in like 1950s France. So it's also not what you'd think for acupuncture. But I don't know
I guess the
how
Asians?
this.
I
That's
don't
what
know where acupuncture came from.
Yeah, I think that's China is usually like what it's accredited to.
You're thinking it's coming from like the 5th century BC
Yeah.
in ancient China.
I mean, it all might be made up.
Well, also the alpha gal, along with Lyme disease, there's conspiracy theories that these diseases were kind of created and put in the wild because I think Lyme refers to a city in PA, right?
I mean, it's usually
Yeah, all the deer ticks
White
and
And
tick,
stuff
that's
yeah.
like
so
that.
that's like where those ticks originated.
Yeah, but I mean, they also could have had the disease, and that's where the people got it. And so that's like saying Luke Garrett
Mhm.
made up Luke Garrett disease. It's like, no, like, I mean, like, he just happened to be the famous guy that got it. So
Yeah.
like, it's named after
You
him.
know those baseball players get up to their
Yeah, like
scientific no
Yeah,
goods.
what is even
Start creating
creating?
stuff?
Hey, continuing to mention Flizzo's shirt, wearing a baseball shirt.
Well,
The-
not really.
Oh,
It's a parody of a baseball shirt.
it's a
oh.
star.
Well, we'll just say it's for the Philadelphia
It
Phillies.
says Flipadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's
I feel like
It's
that's
Always
probably
Sunny in
more
Philadelphia
for flip
reference.
cup and not for the middle finger.
Well, you know, another way language is changing is humans speaking in a way that computer sensors don't pick up. Like we say unlifing, or we might talk about the flu 20, or people will have to type TRU period P. Control a person's language, you control what they can think about. Remove the Bible from someone's life, they won't have the words to find God. In the beginning was the Word. October is the 8th month and December the 10th. Change the words, change your world. And so,
Save the cheerleader.
Save
What's-
the world.
See?
Some heroes.
That's just so derailed him.
somebody save me.
Well, that's Smallville. That's different.
That
What's
was good.
What's
That was
Small World? Smallville.
Smallville.
Song.
What is it?
What?
That the song you were just singing is the theme song to Smallville.
I don't know. I was just
But we were
daydreaming.
talking about the show Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the song for Heroes?
Was there a song?
Did it have a
I
song?
thought it had like a 2-second opening, and then we're like,
Like,
hero.
Yeah,
We
it
are
was
the
shown in
heroes.
clips. and
Save the
then-
cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah, that was like the whole thing, and then
Oh.
it didn't matter.
Oh, so the cheerleader. Was it like lost in the end?
Yeah, it went off the rails. It got too popular, so they started writing in ridiculous stuff, and then didn't know how to end it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until that's a thing I hear of like American shows that ends up happening where in other countries they have to say like this show is 3 seasons long, so this is the entire story, so we don't find ourselves in that quagmire. Speaking of big words, I've got some Shakespeare prepared. Not really some big words on it. We're up to Sonnet 48. Here it goes. How careful was I when I took my way, each trifle under truest bars to thrust, that to my use it might unused stay, from hands of falsehood in sure wards of trust. But thou, to whom my jewels trifles are, most worthy comfort, now my greatest grief, thou best of dearest and mine only care, art left the prey of every vulgar thief. Thee have I not locked up in any chest, save where thou art not, though I feel thou art, within the gentle closure of my breast, from whence at pleasure thou mayest come and part. And even thence thou wilt be stolen, I fear, for truth proves thievish for a prize so dear. Did you hear anything in it?
I got distracted by the fact that I'm sitting directly next to him, and like I noticed that it's like now it's gonna be weird when people see this that he's all like really reading and I'm just staring.
That's what happens every time, right?
I know, but it's
Yeah.
awkward now that I'm next to you.
I feel like people
Oh.
aren't staring at you or at Alex when you're reading.
Yeah,
They're
like now
probably
they can't not.
Oh
Like,
yeah, usually. Well, what you should have done is like look over my
I
shoulder.
was trying not to because
Ah.
you kind of seemed like you were holding the book for me, and I was like, I'm not gonna read this.
Well, now that you're in the king's
Oh,
cube,
I am pulling
you
all the
know that
curtains
you
down.
gotta be doing stuff to like keep people's attention.
you
Hey,
gotta. That's what the jester does.
yeah, that's true. Do a cartwheel for us, boy. I said. Whoa, that's a good jester laugh, though. All right, Alex, do you have any wreck of the weeks?
I mean, this one's gonna be weird, but I've been watching a lot of TV on Peacock, and I don't pay for the non-ad version. So this ad for I don't even know what the ad is for, but like it's played like every commercial now. And this guy and his girlfriend are driving in a car, and the GPS is playing the electric slide or something. It's like to the right now, to the left now, and they are just doing it. And it's like I don't get this trope that like when people listen to a GPS on TV, it's always like, "Oh, turn right," and they're just like, "Yep, nope, doing it." Like I've seen people use real GPSs and they don't turn when it tells them to.
Well, to be fair, Apple Maps had that problem where they were sending people into lakes, and people were driving in the lakes.
But like, there's no way that was real.
It was.
Like how who doesn't look and hear like you're just like not like you hear words and you go, "Yep, nope, it said right." Just turn my
Believe it
wheel.
or not, some people are just terrible drivers.
Well, then I guess my wreck just became that people shouldn't drive. Like I
Well, the wreck is all those car crashes in lakes.
oh take that.
Like some people's skill sets just is not driving. It's just like the reality of it. Your skill set isn't driving. You probably shouldn't drive.
Dude, and then when people are like, "Oh, what? You had to turn down the radio to see better?" It's like, yes, that's how concentration works.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like ever driving in like rain and having a conversation, you might be like, "All right, be quiet. I need to focus."
Yeah, like that's just how focus works. Is that not how focus works for everybody?
yeah, you probably
No.
have a limited. Oh, it's not. Some people have unlimited attention.
Oh, I definitely have limited. Like I can multitask two things hardcore, but if you add a third one, like the levels just drop for all of them.
I guess
Why was
throughout
that
the
your
years,
motion?
Two things.
I've been, I guess, trained or, I guess, whatever. I can focus on, like, visually focus on something and process it while somebody's talking to me without looking at them, without talking to them.
Yeah, but can you add a third thing?
What do you mean by the third thing?
Like that's
driving?
visual,
Juggle.
and that's hearing. But then can you like do a different thing?
Yeah,
Like-
driving. So driving and looking.
Driving
processing
is
that
looking.
in here. No.
You, know,
You can look
That is
and
the
just-
major skill of driving. Is looking.
I drive without looking.
Yeah, like I don't drive with touch.
You don't?
Well, I mean, I got the touch.
I got the power.
You never
Um,
feel like the line, like the painted lines?
You
and
shouldn't.
kind of feel
That's
it?
the thing. That's why it bumps. Is you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't bump everywhere, but you feel it in the steering wheel.
Yeah, it doesn't bump when you don't drive on it either.
Right. So you know,
Stay in your lane, Lizzo.
You feel it.
Stay in your lane.
you feel it, especially when it's
Hey.
raining and you can't see the lines.
Oh, I hate when you can't see.
A
it.
multitasking that I developed with being, I guess, in the army, but a lot in Iraq was having to drive, and you have to program radios because you know the LT isn't going to do diddly poop, and you know maybe I'd have to like hand something to the gunner up in the turret. But nowadays, that skill that I did for the programming radios while driving, I do to feed my baby in the back seat while driving, or like give her a toy or whatever.
Right.
funny how that goes
Multitasking while
around.
driving.
Yeah, but like, who just turns when their GPS says turn now? Like, no, look.
But they usually say it in a quarter mile. But
No,
also,
but, like,
who uses Apple Maps? This is well,
Yeah,
I don't-
right. Yo, it's Google Maps or no maps. All right.
We once had a dog watcher, like on a dog watching app, and they couldn't find our house. And the reason was they were using Apple Maps.
And
But
this is why we have to follow me on Google Maps.
I know the Duchess isn't going to like this because I think she uses Apple Maps. But yeah, let's shout out to Google Maps and make sure to follow Alex on Google Maps. Link in the description. Flizzo, do you know anything that happened recently this week in history?
Well, recently, let's go with way back in history first.
Bastille Day.
That happened last week in
No,
history.
this week, Sunday.
It's Sunday.
The
Sunday's
strong
the start
start
of the
on
week.
Sunday. That's what Ye says.
All right. Yeah, there was Bastille Day. How
is
about
let
you
them
go
eat
to... You know
Which is
more
let
about
them eat-
Bastille Day
Let
than
them
I
eat
do.
cake, and then the beheading of a lot of the French nobility.
I don't think Bastille Day is ever going to lay Chris down. He somehow got tied to that, and he can't get away from it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but a thing I talked about recently was that which was the better revolution, the French Revolution or the American Revolution. I like to say that the American Revolution ended with a new democratic republic, and the French Revolution ended with a sort of god emperor with Napoleon. So that wasn't very effective. And then it went back to the Bourbons maybe was the royal family in France. But enough of Bastille Day.
A little bit of a rough start for them.
Yeah.
But they've held strong with their protest methods throughout history.
Oh, are they still doing? I think nowadays their big protest is to flash. This is what I see on the not adult websites I go
POV
to.
Sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
POV of a French protester.
They also protest. They come out heavy for I guess what Americans would think as smaller inconveniences or things that aren't,
Example.
Apple Maps.
So I think they were protesting over certain vacation type deals or holidays. They're protesting over certain changes to the minimum wage, I believe. So they could come out en masse to protest, where we don't really protest things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I say you got time to lean, got time to clean. So you should be working every hour of your day. Get on that grind, rise and grind.
Yeah, I guess their level of outrage is different. Theirs is lower.
Yeah, theirs is we didn't get our 4 glasses of wine today. So.
But I'm tired.
Right, and we let it simmer for a while, and it's all right. We'll protest, and it seems like it's for nothing, but there's a backlog. It's all right, we should have done it here. Now we're up here. Let's recount all the other things that we should have protested for. And here we go.
I guess Americans also, college students, partake in protesting as a fun thing, or not just college, but that 18 to 25-year-old age group likes to go to protests as social gatherings.
Right.
I watched a video once of a guy who went to a protest and he was just asking the people, so what are you protesting against? And everyone's like, oh, I'm not the spokesperson for this event. You got to talk to somebody else. And it's that's great. They're just there. They don't know why they're there, but they're yep, no, I'm here. It's that's horrible.
Well, that was this week in history. So moving on.
Was it?
Hold on.
No, what was
it? I was
what is Blizzard's this week in
French
history?
was this week in
You
history?
distracted me.
Well, that's all the show is. But isn't that all? That's all podcasts are.
It's just saying words.
Yeah, it's to distract you while you're driving.
So this week in history.
Now.
This week in history, we go back to July 18th, 1947. On this day, Florence Blanchfield became the first woman ever to hold permanent rank as a U.S. Army officer. Blanchfield was a dedicated nurse since World War II and rose to lead the Army Nurse Corps during World War II. Blanchfield then played a key role in advocating for the Army-Navy Nurse Act, which finally allowed women like her the honor of an official commission. In 1947, after 30 years of service, General Dwight D. Eisenhower appointed Blanchfield to be a lieutenant colonel in the Army. Blanchfield's achievements paved the way for countless women to serve in the U.S. Army and other branches of the U.S. Armed Services. That was
I'm okay.
back in 1947.
I'm okay with that because I knew a lieutenant colonel that was a female, and she seemed pretty bad in a good way. I didn't want to put that curse word in people's heads. Uh, but I am generally opposed to women in the infantry just because they, they get the boys get down and dirty, and things are just, I don't know. Yeah, I see it so bad I can't even talk about the subject. So
Which curse word?
Like the
bad,
physical,
bad.
Oh. I was
like
I was thinking of like what like words you would call her, and I'm like, I don't see how they fit into that
But
sentence.
so I often tell the story like when we were in Iraq, we had a female MP visit, and we had to build a shack in our tent and put like so that she could have her own sleeping quarters and a lock on the inside so that she could protect herself. And it's like because that's I don't know, when you have actual common sense, you will know that that's what needs to be done because those boys in that state see women in these burqas and they're going bananas for Santas. Uh, so
I see an
on the
ankle and go crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in the
Mm.
Bible, it's been said the fruit Adam and Eve eat from is an apple or a pomegranate. Grizzy explained to me a compelling argument that it was a grape. I want to read what the Bible says because those words are the only truth we have, and everything else is speculation. So here is Genesis. I'm going to read chapter 2, verses 8, 9, 16, and 17, and then chapter 3, verses 1 through
I
16.
told
Oh,
me I had to
nice,
do
nice.
more.
Yeah. Good. I approve. All right. So here we are. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant of the sight, and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now 16 and 17. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest eat freely, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. Chapter 3. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then thou eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Does Grizzly know grapes don't grow on trees?
I
I was going to
mean,
bring that point up.
Like they say
Yeah.
tree a lot.
Yeah. So tree indicates it's not a grape. So we're going to
Yeah,
take that off the
like
table.
well, so what do you think about this? So I'm going to share this image. It's a fresco from, I think, 17th century France.
coffee.
No, it's like a type of painting. So you'll see, so there's this book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, and he's going to make the argument that the fruit is a Super Mario type mushroom. And here in the fresco,
The picture's on the back of your book.
I know.
Oh, okay. You could have just showed the back of your book.
Well, the folks at home wouldn't see it as well. So the photo shows Adam, Eve, a mushroom, and the serpent. All right.
It's still not a tree.
Well,
You
mushrooms
just
can grow on trees.
yeah, that's true too. But also, like, I don't know what is a tree, man.
I mean, I guess the argument here is then what's a fruit? Because
Well, so a fruit grows above ground, and a vegetable grows below ground.
yeah, man, we don't want to get into the conversation that vegetables don't exist.
All right. I can
All
live
right,
with that
vegetables don't
explanation.
exist.
They're not real. They're
So-
made up by culinary people.
So we're talking about the the magic of words, I guess, that they change. If you don't know the meaning, you will continue using this word. And in a sense, you're being controlled by whoever changed the word. This book has almost 200 pages of citations, the Sacred Mushroom of the Cross. So I don't have time to explain it all, but it's heavy on wordplay. And here's an example. This chapter 6, is titled The Key of the Kingdom. And it's going to get into like the key is a bolt and the bolt is a mushroom. But first we'll start with a reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 22. For Jews demanded signs and Greeks seek wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles. So the word stumbling block, Greek scandalon or scandal, denotes a stick or bolt upon which bait is placed and which, if tripped by the prey, sets off the trap. So bolt. And he says in the Jewish tongue, the word for mushroom means bolt plant. And the word mushroom in Greek is moris, Morios, and the word for folly is Moria. So the wordplay he's trying to explain is that he says the Bible is saying we're preaching this mushroom, and the word for mushroom for the Jews is bolt plant or stumbling block, and the word for Greeks is folly, or there's the wordplay of Morius. Oh, some other connections with Christianity and the mushroom are the virgin birth, that mushrooms appear to grow from nowhere, and resurrection, that they die and come back.
It's the circle of life. Lion King taught us that.
Yeah. Resurrection and virgin birth are not the circle of life.
No, the mushrooms. Just the mushroom part, not the Jesus part.
I don't know if there were any mushrooms in Lion King. They ate some blue bugs.
I mean, they were slimy yet satisfying.
I have a feeling on that log there's probably some mushrooms.
There had to have been some mushrooms.
Yeah, when they moved the log to get the grubs.
And they might have even drew them because, back in those days, the Disney artists were scheming. But we probably know where those artists came from.
Those were.
Yeah. Super Mario. Did you guys see the Super Mario movie? What'd you think of the Jack Black's Peaches song?
The cartoon. I thought we were going to talk about the live action.
No.
Peaches
is a recent one.
It was a catchy tune.
Oh, you liked it?
I didn't care for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't care for Jack Black generally.
So it was catchy. Initially, I didn't like it, but it played so much it grew on me.
I think that's why I didn't like it even more.
Like a mushroom.
It was all right, but then it was just like, why do we care so much? It's just like,
there's that like
here.
Bell curve of like you don't like a song and then like you're like I like it, but then you realize it's getting played way too much. You're like I am tired. So you're saying
you just follow the trends?
Well, that's just how I feel about Jack Black in general. Is like it was in the beginning it was all right, and then people.
I feel like he might be a nice guy though.
I think he's a nice guy.
He's in Hollywood.
I mean, I also feel that Ben Affleck might be a nice guy, but people would probably argue he isn't.
I think he's more close to a regular guy than most people in Hollywood.
I want to be friends with Ben Affleck. Like, not famous Ben, like just Ben Affleck.
We have the Ben at home. I saw a Back to the Future meme where the gimmick was that you're reading the meme in the Doc's voice, like, wake up, Marty! There are paragraphs famous for how the letters get jumbled up and it proves you can still read it. Those are experiments with your brain and how it can be manipulated. You only see these memes after hundreds of thousands of people have liked it. You don't see the thousands of failed experiments that didn't get off the ground. And I'm not a fan of people experimenting with my brain.
I was just going to say, that's dyslexia.
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that the words get jumbled
around.
Is
dyslexic person sees text?
But you've probably seen the paragraph, right?
I know what you're talking about. It's that if the first letter and the last letter are in the correct position, it doesn't matter what the rest of the letters are. Your brain will assume what the word is and put it together.
That's only if you have a strong grasp of the English language or whatever language it's in.
I don't. Spelling is not my forte. But I can read that paragraph without a problem.
You have a strong grasp of the English language.
Grammar's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's your only
grammar is-
language, so.
That's
But
But like
that
how
ellipses-
words should be structured and all that. I'm sure if you were somebody where English is your second language, that probably wouldn't work as well. Those type of
I can see
switcheroo
that.
things.
Well, you'd have to ask the mad scientists doing the experiment. But yeah, with dyslexia is like the words get jumbled around, or also like a lot of times what I end up doing is like I see the first 2 or 3 letters and then just decide what the word is, and it's not the word that I'm looking at. Or sometimes I'll
I mean, you don't have to be dyslexic
say
to
it
do
in my
that. I
head
do
and
that all
say
the
it
time.
out. Well, yeah. Oh.
saying words out loud.
Oh, maybe you're just discovering that you're dyslexic right now, Flizzo.
I do that while reading kids' books, and it's bad because I'm like,
the secret is they
you see,
don't
like
know
the
what's
first
supposed
3
to be
letters.
there,
You're like,
just
oh,
make
it
it
sounds
up.
like it's gonna be this, and I just throw that word in there, and I'm
Yeah, but they can't read.
keep
Just
going. I'm
make
like,
it
that
up.
doesn't make sense.
Isn't it super painful when your kid says, "Dad, are you stupid?" On experimenting with the audience's brain, I'll talk about fear as a tactic in the media. Preppers want bad things to happen in the world because otherwise they're wrong. The pandemic had people embracing the end of the world because we've been told it would happen in our lifetime. Y2K, 9/11, 2008, 2012, 2016. The Ukraine war released people from a media feedback loop that perpetuates fear. They're still under the control of the media, but people get stuck on one subject and need a new disaster to help them move on, to overshadow that they were wrong. In the last week, I say the attempt was used to cover the U.S. backing off of its support in Ukraine and covering up that people were wrong, that we never cared about Ukraine in the first place. Or
So
we never
my
should have.
opinion on that, not just that, a lot of things
Faking the moon.
where people always come up with these theories. September 11th, 2001 had a few theories. It being an inside job. And
Jet fuel, etc.
Yeah, jet fuel can't melt still beams. So stuff like that. The explosion of social media and people finding like-minded individuals online have perpetuated...
Echo chamber.
Yeah, it has perpetuated the echo chamber of people spouting their theories. So you're in a room full of people that kind of think like you, and you start saying, hey, I think if you add X, Y, and Z, it's going to equal that Bush did 9/11. And it's just been getting stacked up and getting worse ever since, where now everything that happens is, I think that's a conspiracy theory. Especially like now people are reading more history, because the history can come at them in a 1 minute go. So you're like, oh, the CIA did all of this stuff in the past, and the U.S. government did all this stuff in the past. So maybe they're doing that right now. People like to put their things together, and
it's definitely...
and it's just been getting... I think it's been getting escalated so much in the past, especially the past 4 years since 2020, because 2020. Everybody got sent home, essentially, and went online to communicate with people. That looked like it was a big conspiracy. So now, so many big things now look like conspiracies. If you look at certain aspects or pick it apart, and I don't think there's that many conspiracies in the world. That's my conspiracy, is that
like with
there's
the
not
sort
that
of
many conspiracies.
with the Plato's cave type thing. It's like you can look at your reality and start picking it apart until you've convinced yourself that what you're seeing is fake as well. So there doesn't even need a conspiracy for you to think that there's a conspiracy.
I think what they should start doing is, instead of eliminating the people that lose, is make them write the history.
Losers write the history.
Yeah, have the losers write the history before you eliminate them, to be like, all right, this way it's whatever the actually happened is, so people don't get to make up things.
No, that would no.
But
That wouldn't work either.
That would be from the best perspective.
Because it would be like, hey, these monsters invaded my country.
Yeah.
They slaughtered every person, especially the babies, and they took no prisoners and no mercy. Yeah, we were just
not attack them first.
Yeah, we didn't bomb.
But also, if they're losers, they're probably less
in the harbor.
educated. Yeah. The person that ignores the news is uninformed. The one that listens to it is misinformed. Now let's do some 24. The numbers are 6, 4, 1, and 4.
I have so much trouble with those sixes.
All right, so the solution we've come to: 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 4 is 24. Maybe you're
That
dyslexic
is.
and that's why you
Oh,
can't
I'm
read
I'm
sixes and
100%
nines.
number dyslexic. It probably has its own name.
That's my excuse too.
Yeah, I wonder why people struggle with numbers. Do you think it's a practice thing, or that we just, like, you might not have been taught numbers right? Like, because I know they're always changing up how they teach math these days. Or
Yeah, I think it's probably how you were taught and practice, because you rely so much on digital aspects, calculators and phones and stuff, that you don't need to carry. You don't need to do mathematics in your head anymore.
See, I thought you guys were talking about
you're
the
out of
physical
practice.
numbers, and I was going to say it's because they're all the shapes, like the curvy lines, and then just blurring them and spinning them.
yeah, I could see how that would make things difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I just always enjoyed number games, so I've been very good at math my whole life.
Like anytime someone writes a 7 with that extra little line in the middle, oh,
I do. That's how I write a 7.
Give,
stay
You're-
in your
So you
lane.
don't think it's a
Lizzo.
one?
Stay in your lane.
you're lucky,
Turn right now.
Lucky we're past Bastille Day. Make sure to check out Flizzo on Instagram. That's PHLIZO. Of course, Alex on Google Maps, link in description, and his username on all social media is CU3Scott. Check out my website, drawingmylifeaway.com. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.
This is
Adios.